story of Sunderland AFC is one that has gained international attention due to the club's fall from the Premier League in 2017 to now playing their football in League One. But what if that relegation season never happened and they were able to keep their place in England's top flight? We're going to be visiting that question today in this retro FIFA 17 installment of my realistic rebuild series. And if you're not yet familiar with this concept, my goal is to tell a club story in the context of FIFA career mode, all the while gradually improving the team by making signings that reflect the club's history and transfer philosophy. We'll be doing this over several seasons until we can match and surpass some of Sunderland's top achievements, like their FA Cup win in 1973. If you go on to enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future content. But let's get into the rebuild. The nostalgia of FIFA 17 hit me pretty hard. I miss those cloud background animations, and it's something that I wish was added in the more recent installments of FIFA. But as you can see, we do have Sunderland in the Premier League. Most notably, their rivals Newcastle are in the Championship. But here is the Sunderland squad that you load up with in Season 1. Some standout players in the starting 11, like Jordan Pickford. He's one of their own, and before he made the transfer to Everton in 2017, he was a significant part of Sunderland's defense. Also, Premier League veteran Jermaine Defoe at the striker position, and noticeably, a lot of loanees in the squad. Adnan Januzaj starting at right mid on loan from Manchester United, and we've got some other players to talk about in just a little bit. But first, we'll discuss our board objectives. Not many changes from FIFA 17 up till now in FIFA 21, but we do have a sizable budget to work with, 32 million, so we'll look to make some signings here and improve this Sunderland squad even more. Also signing up a 5-star scout so that we can hopefully continue developing this youth academy, as we'll be setting up a network in England for 3 months looking for any type of player. It's got a future star, has been removed from the EA catalog. Now you've got homegrown talents as part of the pre-order bonus, but I do miss this feature, so of course we're going to utilize it from the start. Henry Thomas is the player that we've managed to find, a 17-year-old center attacking mid from England. 60 overall, 74 to 94 potential. We'll see how he develops in this save. Also, player training. It was one of the most OP ways to develop players. Now, of course, dynamic potential plays more of a role. I split up the squad report into 3 separate categories. We've got players for the future, iconic Sunderland players, and also some loanees that we may look to sign in future seasons. Starting with our prospects for the future, we've already talked about Pickford at length. The fact that he's only 22 years old in this save, and goalkeeper training being as good as it is, I expect him to reach the upper 80s, maybe even the 90s for his overall by the time this rebuild comes to an end. Back in 2017, Lyndon Gooch was one of the most promising American players abroad. The fact that he was in the Premier League and quickly rising through the ranks of their Sunderland squad made a lot of people believe he was part of the next American golden generation. He hasn't achieved that peak potential yet, but still a long time left in his career, and he is quickly approaching some of the most appearances as a Sunderland player of all time. 2 more prospects, both of them being strikers. We've got the Swede Joel Asoro showing great potential, and Josh Maja, the English striker. No potential stats for him, but we may be able to boost up that rating through player training. And then we've got the veteran players. John O'Shea, the second most appearances of all time for Sunderland. He has retired from the game along with Lee Cattermole, who holds the record for most appearances for Sunderland. And then you've got Jermaine Defoe. He's the highest rated player in the squad. I expect a few solid seasons from him in this rebuild. To be fair, the 3 players that Sunderland have acquired from loan all have great potential in career mode. Javier Manquillo, the right back, who at the time was loaned from Atletico Madrid but has now made the transfer to Newcastle United, will take over the starting right back spot. Jason Denayer was technically with Manchester City, but he was practically loaned out every season. Has since established himself with the Belgium national team along with Olympique Lyon on the club level. And another Belgian in Adnan Januzaj. He was one of the most highly rated Manchester United Youth Academy prospects, but he's found much more success over in Spain at Real Sociedad. We want to give the Sunderland team the greatest chance possible of staying in the Premier League while also making some signings of high potential players for the long-term future of this rebuild. Gus Poyet was one of Sunderland's more long-term managers in recent history. He was at the club from 2013 to 2015, and a lot of the transfers he made did have an influence from the Americas, which ties in perfectly to this Tagliafico transfer. Of course, he is well known for his time now at Ajax, but prior to that, he had a lengthy playing career in Argentina. A very reasonable transfer sum as well, only paying 12 million as this defense finally starts to take shape. Next signing is going to be for one of my favorite players in career mode history. Ryan Gauld has had a very interesting playing career, but at the time, he was one of Scotland's highest potential players, well known for his physical attributes as well as his technical playing ability. We'll complete this signing for just 5 million, a bargain of a fee. One transfer that we do have to talk about for a player going out of the club. There's a lot of controversy during Kone's time at Sunderland. It is rumored that he had a significant move to Everton blocked, and because he's got a fairly decent rating, we'll accept this 4.1 million bid from Southampton. You couldn't ask for much more of a difficult start to kick off our Premier League campaign. It's Manchester City away, but the squad is starting to take shape. We have brought in some of our loanees into the starting 11. Really, the right side of this team at right center back, right back, and right mid is where we're going to rely on around some high potential players rather than experience. We'll see how that works out for us as we fast forward to the January transfer window, and we find ourselves exactly mid-table, 10th place, still within sight of a Europa League spot, which is always going to be a step up as we continue with this rebuild, and some good growth across the board. We put Pickford through some player training, and some of our older players like Defoe haven't declined too much in their overall, unlike FIFA 21. But because we suffered some long-term injuries to defenders, I feel like we do need to make some additional signings in January if we want to survive the test of this Premier League season. And again, we're investing in youth. Nathan Ake has played for a number of Premier League clubs, but at the time he was at Chelsea. Longtime player over there before making the transfer to Bournemouth. Of course, now he's at Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. But at just a transfer fee of 10 million, we're bringing in a versatile center back. He's got great pace. He's left-footed, which is a rarity, and we're also adding someone with some decent technical ability. If you watch my Marseille career mode, you might remember the name Valentin Rongier, a product of the Nantes Youth Academy system. Is up to a 76 overall at 22 years old, and we know his playstyle pretty well. He's a box-to-box center mid despite having medium-high work rates. Green's in most of his attributes, and the ones that are on the low end can always be improved through player training. It's 8 million that we need to spend, and part of those funds did come through a player departure. Jack Rodwell is considered by many to be one of Sunderland's worst signings. I believe they paid over 10 million to bring him in from Manchester City. And following Sunderland's relegation to the Championship, his wages were well above what the club could afford. So for that reason, we'll be letting him depart for West Brom for 5.5 million. It's all about balancing this Sunderland team, getting players that are on bad contracts out of the club, and actually receiving some funds from the transfer rather than letting the players leave on a free like Sunderland have done in recent years. The stars align for a February FA Cup matchup against Newcastle. Decide not to play this fixture because it was still pretty early stages. But how about that? A 90th minute winner to see us advance against our rivals. And that win ended up having significance as we went on a bit of a run in the FA Cup, now matching up against Manchester United in the final. Taking a look at the table, we saw a pretty sharp drop off in the league in the second half of the season. Still 8 points clear of relegation, so we were pretty safe in that sense, but United did go on to win the league, so we've got a tough matchup ahead. It's a shame you're not able to view your opponent's team sheet prior to match like you can in FIFA 21. I can tell you already this United squad is strong though, but anything can happen at Wembley, as fingers crossed we can see some magic in the FA Cup. But going back and playing FIFA 17, I've got to say, graphics were pretty good for a game that was released, gosh, about 5 years ago now. Also, quicker tempo for the gameplay, which was a nice change of pace compared to FIFA 21. Didn't have to adjust sliders or anything like that, just playing on regular legendary difficulty. Good save there from David De Gea, who is in his prime at this point in time. But we're in the 20th minute now, and it's finally United and this attack that tries to get something going. A red card challenge from Anthony Martial against a player who is actually loaned from United, Adnan Januzaj. So tough scenes there. United down to 10 men. Didn't see a whole lot in the next 50 minutes, but Jermaine Defoe with a decent effort. Another good save from David De Gea. It's Ander Herrera in the 90th minute trying to bag the winner for United. It's off the post, and we're into 30 minutes of extra time. We're just at the end of the first period, and it's Januzaj who pulls off that Berba spin, so effective in FIFA 17, and it was a substitute and a player that's retiring at the end of the season, Pinar, who gives us the go-ahead goal. Some great storylines so far in this Sunderland rebuild, and that ended up being the deciding goal, a 1-0 victory. That does mean despite a lower in the table finish, we have managed to qualify for European competitions for season 2. But not only that, the FA Cup was one of the big objectives that I was looking to check off early on in this rebuild. It's the most recent major trophy that Sunderland has won, and the fact that we're able to have Catamol lift the trophy as one of the club's most influential players means a lot, because realistically later on this rebuild he's not going to play as big of a role. We already know how the Premier League and the FA Cup ended. We'll take a look at some of the other competitions. United did go on to win the EFL Cup on penalties against West Ham United. And for the championship, it's Leeds and Newcastle that will secure automatic promotion. It's an interesting one because Newcastle and Leeds are the two clubs I'm considering for my first FIFA 22 career mode. Maybe it's because I had European competitions off for season 1, but I wasn't able to see any of the Champions League and Europa League winners. I'll have that in future seasons of the rebuild though. Top goal scorer for the club was Jermaine Defoe, only a -2 in his rating at 34 years old, and our new signing Ryan Gold did end up having the most assists, so a great debut season for him. Josh Maja securing the most growth, +7 in his overall, working heavily on some of the shooting attributes like finishing up plus 13, shot power up plus 11. We did go on to find 2 youth academy prospects through our first season scouting network, and these are going to be the only 2 that I promote in this entire rebuild. The rest of them really didn't live up to their potential, so it'll be the Cook brothers. Billy Cook, the goalkeeper, 17 years old, overall of 60, potential of 77 to 94, and Henry Cook at a 59 overall, center defensive mid, 18 years old, 86 to 94 potential. Gotta say, even with us winning the FA Cup, we didn't see that sharp of a rise in our manager rating, only at a 78, so we technically saw a drop since the start of this rebuild, but still in good shape, and we are definitely optimistic for season 2. Qualifying for Europa League is a game changer. Not only can we start attracting higher overall and higher potential players, but we're also going to see a rise in our transfer budget, now up to 33 million. Some ambitious objectives from the board go along with that. Not only do they want us to finish in a Europa League spot in the Premier League, they also want us to reach the semi-final of the competition. So we'll see how we do in regards to that objective. Here's what our group is looking like. We have Braga, Rosenborg, and NEC. But because loan players were such a big part of the squad in season 1, I figure we may as well try to bring in a few of them for season 2. Kind of change the trajectory of their career. I know Januzaj has found some success over in Spain, but for this scenario, why not have him stay in the Premier League? As we're going to complete this signing for 10 million. Same thing with Denayer. At a 76 overall, there's no reason he can't be one of the world's best if we continue giving consistent play time and also some player training here and there. This signing was completed for 8 million. That still leaves us with some funds left over, and instead of signing Manquillo, I decided to go for Spurs' second right back option. At the time, Kyle Walker was still at the club, so Kieran Trippier, another player that has since moved from the Premier League, now playing for Atletico Madrid and doing quite well, if I must say. This signing was completed for 8 million. So we're slowly and consistently improving our defense, and I think we can start to compete with some other teams in Europe now. Larsson has had some good moments for Sunderland over the years, but due to his lack of playtime, he did request a transfer. So he's off for newly promoted club Leeds United along with Billy Jones, who arrives for 875,000. Already you can tell the difference that those signings have made. We're in, for the most part, upper 70s and lower 80s for our players' overall rating. And it's a rematch of last year's FA Cup final, the Community Shield, Manchester United winning the league. Of course, we won the cup, so we'll face off. And we actually went on to win this one 4-3 on penalties, courtesy of a goal from both Gold and Defoe. So things are looking up for us. And as we check in January 2018, we find ourselves top of the Premier League. Certainly wasn't anticipating that for season 2. But I think simulations in FIFA 17 were a lot easier, because if we had this exact same squad in FIFA 21, I think we would realistically be mid-table, maybe even lower mid-table. We also saw some success in Europa League as we went on to win the group, 11 points from 6 matches played. As we are doing quite well at this stage, I don't see any reason for us to let any players join the club. Instead, we're going to see a couple leave. Barini leaving for Genoa for 5 million, and one of our backup fullbacks, Adam Matthews, heading to Birmingham City for 2.5 million. We're going to place a big emphasis on some of these Europa League results, a lot of simulations to get through as we start in the round of 32. Against Lazio, this was a 1-0 victory in the away leg. A 2-1 win at home means that we advanced 3-1 on aggregate. Moving forward, we can finally get into this view of Europa League from round of 16 onwards. It's Real Betis that we play. The 2 away goals ended up being big because it was a draw in both results. However, due to the away goals rule, we will be the ones to advance, and it will be none other than another Spanish club, Villarreal, in the quarterfinals. They must have some team because they defeated us 3-0 away from home. A more favorable result in our home fixture, 1-1, but Villarreal easily advancing on aggregate. Would have been nice to go on to the later stages of Europa League, but quarterfinals wasn't bad for season 2. And we will play this final fixture of the Premier League. The reason I'm choosing to highlight this one is because we are in the running for Champions League qualification. We do need to get a good result, though, because we have Spurs 2 points behind us. So if we were to get a draw or a loss, Spurs would likely overtake us and secure the 4th place spot. The first priority is for us to get a good result, but we do have 2 players retiring at the end of the season. Both John O'Shea and Defoe will be ending their careers, so if we do have the chance, we're going to make sure that they get some play time. Defoe actually will be starting for us at striker. And involved he was as he gets plays through here just 4 minutes in. Does well to get by the defender. It's a good save, though, from Fabianski to deny that effort. And we'll get another chance in the 35th minute. Again, it's Defoe, this time playing the pass. A nice little back heel there from Lyndon Gooch to find Januzaj, who does open up the scoring. Nice to have him here on a permanent base, and also nice for Linden to also play a bigger role in this rebuild. I know he doesn't exactly have the best overall rating, but he is a key Sunderland player, so I wanted to make sure he was involved. Nice save there from Pickford on the near post. That was a regular occurrence. He was one of the better goalkeepers I've used in these rebuilds. Maybe that had something to do with near post efforts not being as effective in FIFA 17. But anyways, Swansea do end up getting the equalizer here in the second half. We continue to push on because we don't want to get that draw. That certainly won't guarantee us a Champions League spot. And none other than our homegrown talent and scout a future star player, Henry Thomas, to get us the go-ahead goal 86 minutes into the match. You can write it into the history books. A great sending away for Jermaine Defoe, as well as O'Shea. The future also looking bright for some of the younger players here at Sunderland. That win ended up doing us wonders for the Premier League as it moved us up 2 spots to second. Manchester United repeating as champions. As for the relegation zone, Aston Villa, Newcastle, and Leeds. Clearly Pickford was a big part in our success as he had the most clean sheets in the league, surpassing David De Gea and Hugo Lloris, who has made the transfer to Arsenal apparently. Looking at the FA Cup, it was Leicester that defeated Everton in the final 2-1. EFL Cup went to Manchester United in an all-Manchester derby. Barcelona winning Champions League to break up that amazing season from United, and Roma winning the Europa League final over the team that defeated us, Villarreal. Khazri has turned out to be one of the heroes in this rebuild so far, securing the most goals for the club, 21 from 52 appearances. Defoe with the most assists. Good thing for him as he is retiring at the end of the season. And one of our Youth Academy promotions from last year, Henry Cook, the CDM, has gone up plus 11 in his rating. I figure he has potential to be special, so we're going to try our best to eventually have him work his way into the starting 11. We're up into the 80s for our manager rating, so a slight increase this year. Let's try to keep up that momentum for season 3. Our top objective for this year will be to find a new striker to replace the retired Jermaine Defoe. 40 million to work with and a slight bump up in our board objectives. We need to reach the quarterfinal of Champions League and finish in a Champions League spot in the Prem. This group that we've been placed in with Atletico Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, and Club Brugge is one of the most difficult that I've seen. Club Brugge, by the way, picking up a draw against a stacked PSG team IRL, so we can't discount them. As far as that striker replacement goes, Danny Welbeck is the player that I will be looking to sign. He's going to be available on a slightly lower transfer fee because he has an expiring contract. I know he's played for a couple of different Premier League clubs, Manchester United, Arsenal, and I believe Brighton for a brief spell, but he's still at a fairly decent overall at 82, just 27 years old. And the fact that we were able to sign him for just 17.5 million means that this is a smart transfer to make because we can also focus on some other positions to improve. DeAndre Yedlin spent a season out on loan at Sunderland before he actually went on to join Newcastle United. I'm not sure what it is about these fullbacks joining Sunderland on loan and then joining Newcastle just like Manquillo did, but because I wanted to sign at least one American to the team, I felt like this was the best option. Yedlin should have potential in the upper 70s, lower 80s. I think the ideal signing would have been Gio Reyna because he actually was born in Sunderland, but he wasn't available in FIFA 17 yet. Still working his way through, at the time would have been NYCFC's academy or even Borussia Dortmund's. The Yedlin signing was completed for 6 million, so we should still have some funds left over if we do want to make some additional transfers in the future. Darren Gibson leaving the club for Bournemouth, 4.1 million added to our transfer budget, and Anichebe is someone that didn't get a whole lot of play time, so I figure we may as well let him go at his peak value. He's only going to start declining in his statistics from here on out, so he'll be joining Hull City for 2.4 million. A backup goalkeeper in Oliver Payne heading to Cittadella for 275,000, and Josh Robson leaving for Shrewsbury for 220,000. These calendar fixtures keep matching us up against Manchester United. This time it is in the league, and we've got a fairly decent starting 11. Just one player that hasn't yet reached the 80s for his overall, that being Kieran Trippier. But if things don't work out with him, we can always rely more on Yedlin as we're going to be focusing heavily on some player training. January 2019 is where we will catch up, and we find ourselves third place in the Prem. So pretty similar to last season, within reaching distance of top of the league United, who have been dominating the rebuild so far. We unfortunately weren't able to advance into the knockout stages of Champions League, but we will be participating in Europa League again due to a third place finish. Considering we reached the quarterfinals of Europa League last time around, I think this squad is capable of reaching an even further stage. We do want to make some additional signings though, because we've got some long-term injuries. Khazri and Kirchhoff, along with Denayer, out for multiple months. There have been several players that graduate from the Real Madrid Youth Academy that go on to have successful careers abroad. Diego Llorente has done just that. He now plays for Leeds. So I figure this is the perfect transfer. He's going to be a high potential player, especially in FIFA 17. Already at an 81 overall, 25 years old. And the fact that we can just pay his valuation of 16 million, it means that this is a perfect signing. He can compete with Denayer once he recovers from his injury. So now we finally have some squad depth at the center back position, and we can get some more players out of the club. One of our backup goalkeepers leaving for 2.2 million to Bournemouth. Will Buckley leaving for championship side Nottingham Forest for 725,000. And Julian Lescott, I'm surprised he made it this far into the rebuild, but he's off to Crew Alexandra for 50,000. So this is the team sheet. I'm interested to see how this center back partnership of Ake and Llorente will do from here on out, as our first Europa League fixture will be against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Round of 32 ended in a 2-2 draw on the home fixture and a 3-2 draw away. So we're going to see a very early exit due to that extra time goal from Stindl, which in some senses was a good thing because it allowed us to focus more on the Premier League, our final fixture of the Premier League season against Hull City. And this will be a good matchup because we have mathematically secured the Premier League title. So no matter the result, we're going to see a trophy celebration at the end of 90 minutes. Guttermole has more or less moved into a rotational player, so I decided to give Jordan Pickford the captain's armband. I feel like it's only right for him to have at least one moment in a Sunderland kit lifting a trophy. Early highlight though, and it's Adnan Januzaj, who gets dispossessed, but he wins the ball right back, playing through Trippier, and now inside to Welbeck. Nice layoff pass to Ronje, who scores his first goal of the gameplay. Nice early lead for us as we try to hang on for the rest of the 60 minutes or so. It's a set piece for Hull City, and this is where they were most dangerous. It falls very favorably to one of their players, and they will find the equalizer here in the second half. Still 20 minutes left to play, though, and at the pretty much last few moments of regulation, it's Gall to play through Khazri. You know how good he has been in this rebuild, and this just shows it. He was so clutch in front of goal on multiple occasions. He was a top goal scorer in the simulation, so the fact he was able to get the winner for us meant a lot to me. And we also can end the season on a high, even if we may have mathematically secured the title. I wanted to end the season on a win. That means the FA Cup and the Premier League is now checked off for us, really just leaving Champions League. And considering how well we've done in the league, I see us competing in Champions League every season now. We just need to find a way to advance out of the group stage, whether that be through favorable matchups or just by improving the squad, and eventually we can make it into the knockouts. Taking a look at the full Premier League standings, of course, we went on to win the title. Middlesbrough, West Brom, and Hull City in the relegation zone. Pickford had the most clean sheets in back-to-back seasons. Manchester City winning the FA Cup against West Ham, who continued to reach the final and just keep on losing. For the EFL Cup, it went to Arsenal as they defeated us in the final. And Barcelona, again, winning Champions League, this time over Atletico Madrid. Bayer Leverkusen winning the Europa League over Sassuolo. I didn't expect a wide midfielder to replace Defoe as the top goal scorer for the club, but Khazri has done just that. Januzaj getting as the top assist player for us. And it's Cook again who sees the most growth, this time a +7. It's not quite growing as quickly as he did earlier on in his career, but still being a very promising player. His valuation now at 14.5 million. For whatever reason, our manager rating was in the red. I guess winning the Premier League was not enough for the board, so improving upon that rating will be a key objective for us in Season 4. You know, the last time we secured Champions League football, I felt like the signings we made were quality, but we want to take that one step further. We got some players reaching the mid to upper 80s, and with 50 million to work with, there's no reason that we don't start to sign some world-class players, or at least players that have potential to be world-class. Again, it's ambitious objectives from the board. They now want us to win the Premier League title, reaching the semi-final of Champions League, and also reaching the semi-final of the FA Cup. Once again, we've got Atletico Madrid in our group, along with Ajax and Anderlecht. And I'm just not having the full faith in Danny Welbeck. I think he can be a rotational player for us, but he is not exactly the world-class striker we're looking for. Instead, we're going to sign a player that has seen a pretty sharp decline in his rating since FIFA 17. It was the peak of his potential, and it's none other than Antonio Sanabria. I also like this as a realistic transfer because Batiste is someone that is probably competing in Europa League, so he's ready for the step up in his career, as we'll complete this signing for 50 million. At just 23 years old, there is the potential for him to reach the upper 80s, lower 90s, and another player that has kind of had a mixed bit of performance since he made the transfer from Bayer Leverkusen to Borussia Dortmund. It is, of course, Julian Brandt. Listed as a left midfielder in FIFA 17, he's now at an 85 overall. Some pretty incredible statistics for his pace, higher than I expected them to be. His technical stats are going to be what makes him stand out. His valuation was pretty high at 35 million, but fortunately, we were able to sign him for right around his market value. So 2 really good signings, but you may have noticed this does exceed our transfer budget that we started the season with. We had to let some players go, and as good as Khazri was, at an 80 overall, that's not going to cut it in Champions League. So let's remember these great 3 seasons he's had, and hopefully he can continue that form over at Brentford. With us having Ake, Llorente, and Denayer, there's really no reason for us to keep Djilobodji in the side. So he'll be leaving for Everton for 4.1 million. And we were talking about Catamol just last season. This is where he's going to see his Sunderland career come to an end, as he leaves for Watford for 3.7 million. Remember that we've got one of the Cook brothers developing through our youth academy and going through some player training, so I felt comfortable letting one of our backup goalkeepers leave for Milan. And a somewhat controversial transfer, but I think one that was necessary. Paddy Bangonair did leave Sunderland a few seasons ago, and with us having a lot of depth in the midfield, cashing in on 13 million is going to help us in the long term. A lot of changes to the squad, but hopefully those are the right ones as we push on to try to secure another Premier League title and make progress in Champions League. So far, we're 1 for 1 in the Community Shield. However, this time we are competing against Manchester City as Premier League winners instead of FA Cup winners. The result is still the same, though, a 1-0 victory, Rongier getting the only goal. There's a lot for us to review in January 2020. We're currently 4 points shy of the league leaders Arsenal, but for the Champions League, we did see us finish top of the group over Atletico Madrid, which was a pleasant surprise. I think that's largely due to the signings we made at the start of the season. Both Brandt and Sanabria are at an 86 overall. And as we preview the knockout stage matchups, it's Juventus that we need to play against. It's nice to see that their badge is actually in FIFA since they still had the licenses back then, but the away result ended in a 2-1 loss. The home result, the exact same scoreline. So clearly we have not yet solved the puzzle for how to defeat these top European opponents. We did see a comeback in the Premier League, though, winning the title 2 points ahead of Arsenal. And reviewing the other competitions, Manchester United winning the FA Cup again. It's West Ham in the final and losing in said final. Spurs defeating Arsenal in an all-London derby for the EFL Cup. And I think it counts for something that Juventus went on to win Champions League. I'm surprised that they were our first opponents, so they finished second in their group. Torino went on to win Europa League in a dramatic 4-3 penalty shootout against Spurs. A nice debut season for Sanabria. He netted 19 goals from 46 appearances. Brandt with the most assists, and Cook again with the most growth. Albeit less than previous years, he is now up to an 82 overall. Would like to see some improvements to his pace and that acceleration. We'll try to balance out player training, but at the end of the day, there's only so much that you can do. Not too much of a difference for our manager rating, but as long as we stay steady in the 60s and eventually see that upgrade to the 70s and 80s, we should be all right in keeping our job. Some injuries toward the end of Season 4 will see 2 of our center midfielders in Kirchhoff and Cook both out with injuries, so that'll be an area that we may look to improve in this summer transfer window. 56 million remaining in the budget. And I think the board objectives are pretty straightforward. We're looking to reach the final, if not win, each of the competitions that we're involved in. Here's what our Champions League group is looking like. We remember Dortmund from a few seasons ago. Also Ajax, our familiar opponents. Rapid Wien making the step up to Champions League as well. And as far as center midfielder signings go, I don't think there is more of a realistic transfer than Franck Kessié. He nearly joined Sunderland in the summer of 2016, but that move was never completed due to some complications with a work permit. We'll make this transfer happen at all costs, though. We have to pay a pretty hefty fee of 48 million, but I think it's worth it. He's a player with some good potential and an all-rounder. Plus, I don't think we need to improve that much in the other areas of our squad. A couple of departures, though. George Honeyman, he has seen a bit of a boost in his ratings since he made the transfer to Hull City, but he'll be leaving to Doncaster in this save for 625,000. Elliot Embleton joining Lesca if he's still in the game at Crew Alexandra for 625,000, and Donald Love leaving for Bolton for 575,000. You can see Denayer is back into the starting 11 because we have another injury with Diego Llorente. That's why squad depth is so important. We'll continue player training for the starting 11 players that are lower in their overall, like Yedlin. But guess who in the Community Shield? It's Manchester United. Another 1-0 result. I think that's got to be a record. 3 straight 1-0 results, all against Manchester clubs. But we'll check in January 2021. We've almost caught up in real time as we are top of the lead. Equal on points with Southampton, who actually ended up being one of the top teams in this rebuild. They signed Eden Hazard pretty early on. Perhaps not the most realistic transfer, but something you love to see as someone that follows the Saints every now and then. Champions League, we easily won the group, 15 points from 6 matches played. And now we're going to look to sign a Zlatan Ibrahimovic regen. Zlatan was one of the top regens back in the day. He still is in FIFA 21, but I believe in FIFA 17, his peak overall was somewhere around 90, which means that Axel Larsson, his regen, will also have a potential of 90 plus. Already at an overall rating of 79 at just 20 years old. We wanted to add a Swedish player because Joel Asoro never really broke into this team. So we'll pay 25 million and deplete the remainder of our transfer budget to make this signing happen. With the arrival of Kessie, Kirchhoff also lost his place in the starting 11, so he's off to Everton for 11.5 million. I think now we're definitely competing to be one of the best teams in the world. The only thing that's stopping us is the occasional injury. You can see we have to start Welbeck at left mid, and Guld is sitting out due to a short-term injury. Hopefully these signings that we made can give us enough squad depth to see us advance out of these early knockout stages, and by the time we have more difficult opponents, we can have a fully healthy squad. It's Torino that we play in the first round of knockouts, a 2-0 away result. A 2-1 home result means that we're through to the quarterfinals. Schalke 04 back in the day were one of the top German clubs, especially in career mode with all their high potential players. I think Max Meyer was still with them at the time, but it was a 3-0 home result that pretty much sealed the deal for us. We lost the away fixture, but that didn't matter as we advanced 3-1 on aggregate, and it's Real Madrid in the semifinals. These are the type of opponents that we want to have a fully healthy squad, and we're just about there. The away result ending in a 2-1 loss that could have been worse, with Isco missing an 86-minute penalty, but it was heartbreak in the home fixture. Had we kept a clean sheet, we would have advanced due to the away goals rule, but Sterling scored an 82nd minute goal that saw Real Madrid advance to the final. So it's another season where we're unable to highlight some gameplay. Still winning the Premier League though with 86 points, 5 points clear of Manchester United. Pickford did again have the most clean sheets in the league. Spurs winning the FA Cup with a victory over us in the final. Newcastle defeating Manchester City in the EFL Cup. And again, the team that knocked us out of Champions League is the very team that wins it. Real Madrid with a 2-1 victory over Liverpool in the final. Spurs also winning Europa League on penalties over Wolfsburg. It was kind of an off season for Sanabria. I had high hopes for him because he was a top goal scorer for a club in his first year. But Guld stepped up with 24 goals from 43 appearances. Duncan Watmore, as a rotational player, had the most assists, 5 from 33. Promising signs, though, for Axel Larsson, Zlatan's regen. Very gifted in the physical attributes. Just needs to work on his finishing, which should see a massive boost to his rating. We're not far off from winning all competitions. I think we're 1 or 2 signings away from reaching that Champions League final. Let's see if we can do it for Season 6. If we're going to win a Champions League title, we can only accept the best here at Sunderland. If players are underperforming, they're losing their place in the starting 11. Easy as that. 60 million to work with in the transfer budget. No changes to our board objectives. And a Champions League group consisting of Monaco, Lazio, and Standard Liège. This is going to be the big transfer. Sanabria to leave for Manchester City for 40 million. We definitely could have cashed in on a higher valuation if we had perhaps let him go last season, coming off of a good goal-scoring campaign. We'll use those funds to try to sign an even better striker, in my opinion. Kasper Dolberg. At the time, he was at Ajax, but he's made the transfer to Espanyol. Seems to be having some success for Nice IRL, but at 47.5 million, I thought this was a pretty good evaluation. We'll need to pay considerably above that at 70 mil, but it's the only area that I want to improve this squad, just to get a different look at the striker position. Keep in mind, though, we've got Larsson, who is quickly growing in his rating, so if he matches or exceeds the rating of Dolberg, he could even break into the team. We'll see if we can keep our perfect streak alive in the Community Shield. And this final was actually a lot more interesting. Finally, not a 1-0 result, but we do manage to defeat Spurs on penalties 4-3, and we'll catch up in January 2022. Of course, we're top of the league, 43 points, 8 points clear of Manchester United, finishing second in our group. Monaco, despite having a lower goal differential, will finish first due to better head-to-head matchups against us. We saw some good growth. Brunt is up to a 90 in his overall. Pickford not far behind, and Larsson quickly creeping up from the bench, 86 overall, already a +3. Dolberg also going up in his rating. Just to get that extra difference, I decided to let a rotational player in Rongier leave for Chelsea. He played a big role in this rebuild. Still one of my favorite players in career mode, just based off how well he plays in game. But that transfer will allow us to pick up an even better defender. Jimenez is playing for Celta Vigo. He forced a move away from Atletico Madrid. Celta Vigo, they've got to be competing in no better than Europa League. And the fact that we only had to pay 50 million for an 88 overall center back is just ridiculous. So we'll complete this signing, and fingers crossed we can make a run now in Champions League. First fixture against Real Madrid, the team that knocked us out last year, but we'll be advancing this time around 2-1 on aggregate. We got an English opponent for a change in the quarterfinals. 1-0 away against Arsenal, and 1-1 at home means we advance 2-1 into the semifinals against Atletico Madrid, the former club of Jimenez. I think he was sitting out due to an injury. Didn't matter much because we picked up a 2-1 result at home, 1-1 result away. All of these fixtures in the knockout stages have been close, but we've been slightly better than our opponents. That means the final of Champions League will be the last match that we highlight in this rebuild. I think our team can stack up well though. Pretty much everyone in the upper 80s for their rating, a few even in the lower 90s. So as we walk out onto the pitch for the last time, I think we can confidently say that we put our best foot forward, and regardless of result, it's been a good flashback to FIFA 17. Getting into the highlights, we'll get the first chance. Kessié playing through Dolberg, and he's going to showcase some of his good strength as he shields the ball away from the Monaco defender, playing the pass to Januzaj, and on his left foot will find the back of the net, exactly how we wanted to start this match. Januzaj has been one of the surprise players. Definitely not the best in terms of his overall rating, but exceptional in game, and that's all you can ask for. Lamar in the 21st minute is going to find Saint-Maximin. An interesting career trajectory for him because, of course, he now plays for Newcastle, so you could even consider him to be a rival player for Sunderland. He found the equalizer as we'll make a change in the 70th minute. It's Larsson, who is, again, Zlatan's regen, being brought on for that extra bit of pace. Maybe he can be the difference from Dolberg and offer a different dynamic, as it's going to be a 90th minute opportunity for Monaco to try to find the winner. Big save from Pickford to deny that effort. And as we clear away the corner, you can see Larsson showcasing that pace. He's going to outrun the Monaco defender. Ref allowing play to continue. One-on-one with the keeper. It's a cool, calm, and collected finish. What a way for us to win the Champions League final. A 90th minute winner from a regen, and even one of the substitutes that we made in this match. Couldn't believe it at the time, but it was just a perfect send-off for this rebuild. With FIFA 22 coming out, I imagine it's going to be a while before we do another one of these retro rebuilds, but this time next year, I definitely plan on revisiting this concept for either FIFA 17 or some of the older FIFAs. If you do have any suggestions, feel free to leave that in the comments section below. We'll recap all the other competitions. We finished 12 points clear of Manchester United for the Premier League title, just about reaching the centennial mark. Julian Brandt also finished as the top goal scorer in the Premier League, so clearly left midfielders were exceptional for us in this save. FA Cup went to Spurs with a 2-1 victory over Manchester United. EFL Cup going to Crystal Palace as they defeated us. And for Europa League, it's Manchester City to defeat Milan in the final. In addition to being the Premier League top goal scorer, Brandt was the top goal scorer and top assist player for the club this season. With Axel Larsson seeing a +5 in his rating, we were continuing to work on his finishing, and now it's to the point where he's a well-rounded striker. Nice improvement to our manager rating as well, up into the 70s, meeting most of our board objectives. But as we close out this rebuild, I want to give a thanks to channel members for supporting what we do here on YouTube. If you ever want to learn more about the membership program, click the join button right underneath the video and unlock some exclusive perks to the channel. But we'll be signing off now with this Sunderland squad. If you enjoyed the video today, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. But until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to you all again soon.